Welcome to this Alaska Land Mobile Radio training presentation. Subscriber Unit Acceptance Testing Procedures. Subscriber units, which include the radios used by member agencies such as portable or mobile radios, must be approved through the Acceptance Test Procedure, or ATP process, before they receive approval to operate on the system and are placed on the approved equipment list. The purpose of the ATP is to ensure that these radios work as expected and do not create any problems or interference with the proper operation of the system. The entire test process is composed of multiple individual tests which create situations for the radio to operate in that mimic real-world events. Typically, the ATP process is undergone when a vendor or manufacturer introduces a new radio or model and desires it to be approved for operation on the system. The ATP process has evolved over time and continues to evolve as technology changes dictate. For instance, the most recent revisions to the ATP process include tests related to TDMA technology and that operation on the system. The ALMR approved equipment list is located on the ALMR website at alaskalandmobileradio.org. To access the list, navigate to the membership menu and go to the Approved Equipment section. At the top of that menu, you will see mobile, portable, consulate, and aircraft radios. Clicking on that link will show the approved equipment list. The equipment list is separated by type: mobile, portable, aircraft, and consulate. Each radio unit on this list has been tested through the ATP process and is available for use on the ALMR system. However, note that due to the TDMA transition procedure, only those radios that have the TDMA-capable notation next to them are approved for new use. Existing radios and models that have already been on the system are able to be retained on the system per that procedure. However, any new radios purchased must have that notation and have passed the ATP process. It is highly advised that any agency that is considering a purchase of radio units contact the ALMR help desk to verify that those units are on the acceptance test list and have been approved before making any purchase decisions. On this visual, you will see a list of some of the tests undertaken as part of the ATP process. The tests range from simple talk group calls, secure operation with encryption, all the way through to different access control limitations and busy conditions. Even though some functions may not be used by an individual agency, it is imperative to ensure that all radios on the system operate in the same way to allow for functionality in the future as well as consistent operation. Therefore, as part of the ATP, each radio unit that is being tested must pass each test successfully in order to be considered for the approved equipment list. In addition to simple and complex tests for the radio itself, the ATP also tests a number of additional conditions. For instance, there are a number of tests for site trunking conditions. Site trunking is when the particular site that a radio is affiliated to has lost connection to the wider network and fails back to a site trunking mode. In addition to interacting with the network itself, the individual radios must also interact with dispatch consoles, and there is another subset of tests for these conditions. Not shown on this visual, but recently added, are testing procedures for TDMA functionality. TDMA functionality is a new technology that the ALMR system is transitioning to, which will allow for significantly increased capacity on the system. All radios on the system have a deadline to transition to TDMA Phase 2 functionality. Additional information on this transition can be found on the ALMR website. If an individual agency on the ALMR system is interested in a specific radio or unit that is not on the approved equipment list, it should be submitted for the ATP testing. To do so, the agency should have their servicing dealer, vendor, or manufacturer representative contact the ALMR office for scheduling. At that time, the ALMR System Management and Operation Management offices will provide the specifications to the radio dealer or vendor to program the test sets. The units must be sent in advance to the ALMR office for testing, and they should be programmed with the specifications provided. In addition, they must also provide any ancillary equipment, such as programming cables, keyloaders, or other equipment to the ALMR office. A representative of the vendor or manufacturer, as well as the System Management and Operation Management offices, jointly conduct the ATP test procedure in person on site in Anchorage. During that process, all tests are run through that are part of the procedure with all representatives present. Any issues that cause a test not to be passed are either addressed at that time, or the manufacturer may provide for some fix at a later time, such as a software update or other correction. The acceptance test process typically takes anywhere from 4 to 8 hours, depending on if any programming changes or other units are required to be changed prior to passing the test. Once all ATP tests are passed and all concerns are mitigated, the process is complete, and the unit will be placed on the approved equipment list on the ALMR website. If you have any questions on the acceptance test procedure process or are interested in adding a radio unit to the approved equipment list, please contact the ALMR office using the contact information shown. Again, be sure to check the approved equipment list process on the ALMR website prior to any radio purchase, and ensure that any new radios added to the system are listed on the AEL and also have the TDMA capable notation next to the model.